Professor Jefferson, thank you very much for accepting CGTN's interview. Recently, we have seen some studies showing that the COVID-19 virus had been found in Barcelona sewage sample from March 2019. That's far early from the initial outbreak in China. How do you look at those discoveries?
What was found in Barcelona, if confirmed, were fragments of genetic material of the SARS-CoV-2 from March 2019. The preceding samples from January 2018 were negative. So at some stage, around about February 2019, March 2019, this virus started circulating and infecting people, possibly the lower level in Barcelona, and then they excreted it in their stools, because that is a known fact with SARS-CoV-2, that it is actually excreted. COVID patients excreted in their stools and sometimes in the urine, as well as their breath. And so it just suggests that it's been around for a lot longer than what we initially thought.
Does it mean that the virus may stay in the world much longer than we expected? Or does it mean that the origin of the virus may not come from China?
The origin of the virus is unknown. We don't have a number plate for viruses. They are theories. There are theories. We know that for certain it was recognized in as a newly identified disease in Wuhan. I think there's little doubt about that. But being newly identified in Wuhan and being originated from Wuhan are two different things. And it's not necessarily cause and effect. I'm told by those who understand genetic processes that these types of viruses mutate quite slowly. It takes decades. So it could have come from Wuhan, it could have come from China, it could have come from anywhere. But if confirmed, the Barcelona findings would suggest that the virus had been around in Barcelona for at least 11 months before the first case became clear.
The origin of the virus has become quite a political topic, as the US president publicly called the virus as China virus, which gives lots of overseas Chinese pressure as they are suffering from the racist blames. As a scientist, could you tell us why we should study the origin of the virus? What's the significance for us to do those kind of research?
I think it is very important to understand the ecosystem of these particular viruses. I don't think we will necessarily easily find out where it's come from, other than perhaps a species. Unless there is a specific species which only lives in a particular area of the world, we're not going to get a clear idea of where they originated from. I don't think that the pursuit of the origin of the virus in itself is as important as exactly understanding how it mutated, how it adapted from possible animals into human beings, and how it can be passed from a person to a person.
Is that you have called for investigation into food factories and meat packing plants. Could you tell us why we should do those kind of study?
Because it's unusual. They are unusual circumstances. And in epidemiology, the unusual circumstance could shed light on the usual circumstance. And I will explain what I mean. Why do we have these outbreaks in meat packing plants? Why specifically meat packing plants? Is it because of the low temperature? Is that what it is? Is that what is favoring the transmission? Because that, if that is a conclusion, it's a hypothesis, but that may be very important for our preventive efforts to prevent transmission of the virus. So we know that we are more at risk of transmission if the temperature is in a particular bracket. Or is it the working practices inside the meat factory? Or is it the food, contamination of frozen food, which is then thawed, and contact favors transmission of the virus? These are all questions that should be answered, I think, quite urgently as well.
And also, how do you evaluate our efforts to fight against this pandemic? The world is very divided over this fight, as U.S. officially quit from WTO. What's the lessons do you think we should take? And if the next pandemic happens, how shall we prepare for it?
Because microorganisms, viruses, don't recognize borders. They are inanimate things in the case of viruses. They don't recognize race. They don't recognize borders. They don't recognize language. So we need to share information and try and understand what has caused this, what has particularly caused this, and what may cause other outbreaks of this kind, which is a possibility.
Thank you.